Okay, this is quarter 3 conference video, and I'm going to be talking about how I have increased as a critical reader and understanding of literature, and how my writing has improved throughout the semester and first semester. So, as a critical reader, I have increased as understanding why the author puts what he says to connect to what the book is meaning, and how to annotate things that are important throughout the book and things that are not important. Also, I have understand that you need to read and reread because you may not understand what the author is really saying in the first time. Because if you read something and you think that it means one thing, it can actually mean the other thing if you just skip one word. Plus, I have also increased myself as a writer because when I write an essay, oh, I sucked. But now I'm so much better. I learned how to use rhetorical points of view and use extra things. Plus, I learned how to organize my ideas throughout, like, either I do it by places, I do it by other books and how they connect to each other, or I do it by what we already like wrote about and try to put that into my new writing to improve it. Also, I learned about how to write a decent claim and how you have to have the main idea, your points all into it in the claim. And then you, in the introduction paragraph, you add that with a thesis statement and then a little more background knowledge. Plus, and you have to make sure that you have appropriate language, like you have to be formal and not informal when you're typing, because if you're writing this to the dean or something, like, you don't want to be informal because then it's not going to make sense. They're going to be like, oh, she's not professional, she doesn't really want anything, she's just typing this just type. Again, you also have to use appropriate evidence. Like, if you have evidence that connects to nothing what you're saying about, what's the point of adding? You have to know how to cite it correctly. You have to know what you're typing in and it makes sense. And you also have to understand that when you're writing and you have evidence that you can back it up, or even if it doesn't really connect, you can have something else that helps it support. It has, like, a lot has happened, and what is important for me to move on between, like, time and progresses through critical reading and critical writing is that for critical reading, I want to understand how an author can just write something and then have a whole bias thing, and how authors are not biased about one point of view. They usually have two sides. It's like an argumentative paper, and you have two sides, but then you automatically come to one at the end, like you already know what they're really gonna mean. And I also want to understand how when Novak says to a minor author is left to these do not bother about any reinventing of the world. They merely try to squeeze the best they can out of given orders and out of traditional patterns fiction. That helps between literature and the reading, because you have two different pieces that you're trying to find out. When you write, you want to have your way and your point of view, but when you're reading, you want to have both sides and which one you think that you can lean more towards and which one you can't. And literature is like a piece of art that, like, each own person can have. Like, you can see something and you will think that you can see something like an apple and somebody can see it as a fruit, but somebody else can see it as the first thing that Adam and Eve ever ate. And, like, you can tell from, like, it's two different things. Like, when you're writing and you're reading, when you read something, you can, like, tell the meaning right away, even though, like, you can have your own meaning, but the author also has the meaning behind it, and you will understand that later if you continue to read. And about the history of events, ideas that we began to discuss was like through the journals that we have been writing, and how our journals, we have to connect to each part of the story that we're reading to make sure we have comprehension and we actually understand what we're reading. Like the most recent that we have used in the conferences that we've been doing was the Great Gatsby, and through the Great Gatsby, it has shown that authors use symbols, and throughout the symbols, like money in the Great Gatsby, time, and like the main characters all mean something. Like money to like Gatsby means like getting the girl and like having the best. Time means like to Tom, like, oh, I need to figure out if he wants to be with her or not. Well, he wants to be with her, and he wants to spend the rest of his life, and he's trying to make sure the time maximizes throughout each other. And there's a difference between, like, we have been reading nonfiction and fiction throughout the semester, but like the nonfiction can be art because it shows different types of like views, and nonfiction is like your own personality, and art, defined to me, is a way to understand different pieces or one object or item or one idea and make it even 10 times different. Like one picture can mean 1,000 things. And Novak means by teacher and enchanter. He's a major writer because he showed kids and teachers how to, like, you should use this and do that to improve yourself and improve what's going on around. But throughout this semester, I have really increased my time as a growth and improvement and rewriting and writing essays almost every single week. And it has shown me that I have the ability to try, and that you can keep writing, and it's going to help, especially when it comes to tests, because you get higher grades. Also, reading a book and using critical reading helps with like multiple choice questions. Like it helps like oh, you know this, but you can like dig deeper into it, like to help you answer the questions. Plus, it has like Novak. He helped preparate like the institution of like science and poetry, and he's like a book genius. He helps make more sense and like use intellectual and thinking. He's like an artist. You can say he's an artist. And yes. But Novak, Prairie, and Frost, they are like tools to help individual readers like improve and like use what they have to write, dance, and all that stuff. Like it's just not to read, but like using like dance, sculptures, painting, like anything. It's just life skills that they gave you. Plus, I feel that this semester, this conference should get like a B, because I really understood everything that we were doing this semester. Read all the books, did all the journals, like can discuss what's really going on through the Great Gatsby. Like that book was amazing. And it just means like reading is nothing more than text, but to an individual person it can mean like everything. Like it can mean a pathway or something like that. So I'll give this conference a high C or a low B, but nothing less, nothing more. Thanks.